Before watching this video, you may have already encountered a fair amount of content about meditation in other videos or articles, and have a certain understanding of it. However, this video is still distinctly different from all the introductions to meditation you've seen before. This is because almost all content introducing meditation focuses on only two aspects. First, what effects meditation has and what benefits it can bring us. And second, how to meditate, which is an introduction to various meditation methods. But the theme this video aims to express is somewhat different from those. What is the essence of meditation? In exploring the essence of meditation, we will reveal why meditation can produce those effects, and what the underlying principles are for those meditation methods to be effective. First, we need to answer this question: what is meditation? If we were to define meditation in a single sentence, it would be: meditation is a collective term for various training methods capable of improving the state of consciousness. Meditation does not specifically refer to any single training method. Any method that can be used to improve the state of consciousness can be called meditation. You can think of meditation as exercise or fitness training at the conscious level. Our daily exercise or fitness training primarily strengthens the body and secondarily improves our mental state. Exercise at the conscious level, that is, meditation primarily improves our state of consciousness and secondarily can also enhance our physical fitness, such as improving the body's flexibility and endurance. Those with some understanding of meditation know that meditation practice brings many benefits at the mental level, such as improving our concentration, reducing stress, relaxing the mind and body, decreasing negative emotions, and making your consciousness clearer, and so on. However, as to why we can obtain these benefits through those training methods, no one can clearly answer. Although some scientific research has provided answers, those answers are merely descriptions of related phenomena and have not answered this question from a fundamental, principled level. Since meditation is a training of consciousness, to understand the essence of meditation, one must have some understanding of consciousness, because the truth of meditation is hidden within our consciousness. Our consciousness is not a tightly knit whole, but is composed of two entirely different parts. One part is a pure, unified core of awareness, and the other part is a system constructed from countless programs. The core of awareness is our true self-consciousness. This consciousness is the true I, the fundamental reason for my existence, and it is also what many religions and spiritual theories refer to as the source of spirituality. True self-consciousness is the root of our ability to be aware of our own existence. We can be aware of our own existence precisely because this consciousness exists. When it enters a dormant state, we cannot be aware of our own existence. When we are in sleep or a coma and cannot be aware of our own existence, it is precisely because true self-consciousness has entered a dormant state. When you are awake, it is in an active state. The more awake you are, the more active it is. The other part of consciousness is all other consciousness besides true self-consciousness. Since true self-consciousness is the consciousness that represents I, the other consciousness is naturally non-self-consciousness. All consciousness other than true self-consciousness is called non-self-consciousness. Non-self-consciousness is a system constructed from countless programs. This system is responsible for executing various detailed tasks and generating various information in consciousness. The sensory information, emotions, feelings in our consciousness, as well as our thought activities, are all produced by non-self-consciousness, or it can be said that they are all part of non-self-consciousness. In psychology, there is the concept of the subconscious, which usually refers to those conscious activities and content that we cannot perceive. Non-self-consciousness includes the subconscious because it encompasses all perceivable and imperceivable conscious activities and all the content they produce. In consciousness, there is no essential difference between the content we can perceive and the content we cannot perceive. In reality, we can only perceive very little content in consciousness. The vast majority of conscious content cannot be perceived. There are mainly two reasons for this. One is that our perceptual ability is too weak, and the other is that much information is too subtle and is overshadowed by other strong information. If your perceptual ability is stronger and your mind is calmer, you will be able to perceive content deep within consciousness that was originally considered subconscious and imperceptible. Under normal circumstances, the vast majority of content in our consciousness belongs to imperceptible content, so non-self-consciousness can also be roughly understood as approximately equivalent to the subconscious in the traditional sense. When we are perceiving emotions, The subject perceiving the emotions is true self-consciousness. The perceived emotions and various other contents in consciousness belong to non-self-consciousness, or are content produced by non-self-consciousness. Besides producing various activities and information in consciousness, non-self-consciousness is also responsible for maintaining the physiological activities of the entire body's functioning. Therefore, non-self-consciousness not only exists in the brain, but is also spread throughout our entire body. When the relevant systems in non-self-consciousness responsible for maintaining physiological activities stop functioning, that is when our body dies. When non-self-consciousness is in a good state, the functional systems maintaining physiological activities will also operate well, and our body will become healthier, whereas when the state of consciousness is poor, our body is also prone to various problems. Many people, after practicing meditation for a period, find that not only has their mental state improved, but their body has also become healthier, even if they did not engage in physical exercise during that time. This is because when the state of consciousness is improved, the part of non-self-consciousness responsible for maintaining physiological functions also becomes healthier, thereby repairing bodily problems and making it healthier. Non-self-consciousness is an autonomously operating vast system in which countless sub-programs are constantly running. Generally, it only becomes relatively quiet during deep sleep or deep meditation. Although it is a vast and complex system, and its sub-programs run very quickly, it is not an efficient, orderly system. Non-self-consciousness contains a large number of useless, even harmful programs, and programs can also conflict with each other. This is the reason why human nature is complex, variable, and full of contradictions. These harmful programs not only consume a large amount of energy, but also cause various problems. If a person's mental state is very poor, always listless, and mired in negativity and depression, it means that too many harmful programs are running excessively actively in their non-self-consciousness. Non-self-consciousness can be changed and reshaped because the various sub-programs that constitute non-self-consciousness can be created, enhanced, weakened, or eliminated. This is the root of the plasticity of consciousness. We can solve problems by suppressing the activity of those harmful programs, or even by eliminating those programs from consciousness. Meditation is precisely based on this principle to improve our state of consciousness. Our true self-consciousness is very different from non-self-consciousness. It does not produce any specific concrete actions. Our thoughts, emotions, feelings, and the conscious activities that control bodily movements do not come from true self-consciousness. Any behavior you can think of is not produced by true self-consciousness. But true self-consciousness can perceive behaviors and information, and can also perform thinking, analysis, and decision-making based on the perceived information. However, since true self-consciousness itself does not produce concrete behaviors, and all concrete behaviors are produced by non-self-consciousness, true self-consciousness, when performing thinking, analysis, and decision-making, needs to achieve this by controlling non-self-consciousness. Our ways of thinking include conscious thinking and unconscious thinking. Unconscious thinking is the completely automatic mode of thinking of non-self-consciousness. True self-consciousness does not participate in thinking, nor does it perceive it. We generate a large amount of unconscious thought after encountering various sensory information in daily life. Unconscious thinking is the process and result of programs running automatically. It is very fast but not generated to achieve a preset goal, thus possessing blindness. Under the control and influence of non-self-consciousness, we may make many erroneous and foolish decisions. Conscious thinking is the process where true self-consciousness participates, controlling non-self-consciousness to analyze information and make decisions, usually generated to achieve a specific goal. Since conscious thinking is achieved by true self-consciousness controlling non-self-consciousness, if the ability of true self-consciousness to control non-self-consciousness is relatively weak, then the thinking process will become very slow. In reality, the conscious thinking of most people is far slower than unconscious thinking. This is caused by the general weakness of our true self-consciousness. But if your true self-consciousness is stronger, and your control over non-self-consciousness is greater, your conscious thinking will be faster. This is also why some people react very quickly, while others are slow. The stronger a person's true self-consciousness and its control over non-self-consciousness, the stronger their reaction ability, and vice versa. True self-consciousness is absolutely rational. because all irrational drives come from non-self-consciousness. It has no irrational drives whatsoever. The decisions it makes are naturally rational. It's just that in reality, our decisions are produced under the mutual influence of true self-consciousness and non-self-consciousness. And in almost all cases, non-self-consciousness holds a very dominant power. Therefore, in reality, human decisions are often irrational. When our state of consciousness leans more towards being dominated by true self-consciousness, we become more inclined towards rationality. But this rationality is not the kind found in scientific or philosophical thinking, but a rationality unaffected by emotions, sentiments, and conceptual ideas. This rationality will make one more peaceful and tolerant. If a person's state of consciousness leans more towards being dominated by non-self-consciousness, they will appear emotional, stubborn, and may even become extreme and frantic. Meditation practice can shift one's state of consciousness towards being dominated by true self-consciousness. Therefore, long-term meditators become rational, peaceful, emotionally stable, and inwardly calm. True self-consciousness and non-self-consciousness can influence and control each other. Theoretically, true self-consciousness can control non-self-consciousness and can also transform non-self-consciousness through this control. But in reality, the true self-consciousness of most people is too weak and can only control a very small part of non-self-consciousness. Furthermore, we are severely influenced and controlled by non-self-consciousness. It can basically be said that we are dominated by non-self-consciousness. However, we can still utilize the limited influence and control true self-consciousness has over non-self-consciousness to change our state of consciousness, guiding it towards a better direction. Meditation training is the practical application of this approach, and this is why meditation practice can resolve various mental problems. Similarly, non-self-consciousness can also control and influence true self-consciousness. Within non-self-consciousness, countless programs are constantly processing various received information. In processing this information, corresponding feelings are generated, and then judgments of good or bad are made about these feelings. For feelings judged as bad, a resistance reaction is produced, compelling true self-consciousness to move away from the information source that produces bad feelings. For feelings judged as good, an affinity reaction is produced, compelling true self-consciousness to acquire more information that generates good feelings. Non-self-consciousness, through this binary judgment mechanism of good and bad, and the subsequent behaviors that compel true self-consciousness to identify with them, achieves control over true self-consciousness. This mode of control over true self-consciousness suppresses it, harms it, and weakens it. You may have encountered meditation techniques like this. During meditation, do not make any distinctions about feelings. Do not differentiate between good or bad feelings. The distinction between good and bad feelings comes from non-self-consciousness, not true self-consciousness. Meditation techniques that ask you not to differentiate feelings mean that you should, as much as possible, not be influenced by non-self-consciousness, not identify with this distinction of good and bad, thereby slowly weakening non-self-consciousness's distinction of feelings and reducing its suppression of true self-consciousness. Although true self-consciousness and non-self-consciousness are both called consciousness, they are entirely different in their attributes. They are two completely different things. Although non-self-consciousness appears vaster and more complex, performs almost all the work, produces our thoughts, feelings, emotions, and controls our bodies and every move, true self-consciousness is the core of our entire consciousness. Because true self-consciousness is the root of our existence. If a person only had non-self-consciousness and no true self-consciousness, they would become a person in a persistent vegetative state who can never wake up, or a walking corpse, a soulless shell. To understand the essence of consciousness more deeply, you can read the book, The Secret of Consciousness. The introduction to consciousness here is all derived from this book. The Secret of Consciousness explains the essence of consciousness through a unique, rigorous, and reality-aligned model. And through this model, it explains various human consciousness-related issues, including psychology, spirituality, religion, and many other problems. Even understanding only parts of this book will bring you a profound shock. If you are interested in topics like consciousness, psychology, the essence of human nature, religion, or spirituality, you definitely shouldn't miss this book. The biggest drawback of this book is that it may not be very easy to understand, as it reveals humanity's deepest and most essential secrets from a unique perspective. Many of its views are outside the conventional cognition of the general public. You may need a certain capacity for deep scientific and philosophical thinking, as well as related knowledge reserves, to better understand this book. After gaining some understanding of our consciousness, we can then apply this understanding to explain various questions about meditation. Meditation is a training method to improve the state of consciousness. The erroneous state of consciousness is allowing the autonomously operating non-self-consciousness system to dominate your life. The correct state of consciousness is allowing true self-consciousness to dominate your life. The repair of the state of consciousness through meditation is to shift a person from a state dominated by the non-self-consciousness system to a state dominated by true self-consciousness, making the true self the master of consciousness. Improvement in the state of consciousness is mainly reflected in two aspects. First, true self-consciousness becomes stronger. This will make you feel that your consciousness is clearer, and your perceptual ability becomes stronger, whether it's for inner psychological activities or external things. Since the foundation for attention and memory lies in true self-consciousness, when true self-consciousness is stronger, you will noticeably feel your attention and memory have also improved. When true self-consciousness becomes stronger, its ability to resist the impact of non-self-consciousness also increases, primarily manifesting as a significantly enhanced tolerance for pain. The other aspect is the elimination of activities in non-self-consciousness that suppress true self-consciousness. This will cause the activity level of non-self-consciousness to decrease significantly. Due to this decreased activity, various uncontrolled thoughts and feelings in the brain will noticeably reduce. This will make one feel very calm and relaxed. Attention will naturally stay on the current task or sensory information, rather than being drawn into various uncontrolled thoughts and emotions. This is the state of living in the present. There are many meditation methods, but no matter which one, if it is effective, it must follow the relevant laws of consciousness. According to the operational mechanisms of consciousness, meditation methods need to adhere to the following principles. First, meditation must be conducted in a state of wakefulness, and the more awake, the better. This is because the principle of meditation is to utilize the ability of true self-consciousness to influence and control non-self-consciousness to achieve the transformation of consciousness. A more awake state means true self-consciousness is more active, its ability to transform consciousness is stronger, and the effects of meditation will be better. The principle by which meditation improves the state of consciousness is by utilizing the control true self-consciousness has over non-self-consciousness to reduce the activity of non-self-consciousness and eliminate harmful programs within it. Although there are many meditation methods, most are created based on a few simple principles. During meditation, one often needs to consciously perceive something. It could be the breath, a certain sensation, or any object in the external environment, like a burning candle. But it's merely perception. Do not generate any related thought activity. This is because most of our thoughts and ideas are initiated autonomously by non-self-consciousness. When you get drawn into such thought activity, you are being manipulated by non-self-consciousness. Suppressing the activity of non-self-consciousness through conscious perception, letting thoughts stop, is the core principle of meditation. Most meditation methods are designed based on this principle. Stopping thoughts is highly emphasized in meditation because the vast majority of thought activity is autonomously produced by non-self-consciousness. Only by being able to stop thoughts can you demonstrate your control over thought. Stopping brain thoughts will not reduce your thinking ability. On the contrary, it will allow you to better control your brain, making thinking more effortless. There is a category of visualization-based meditation methods that create thought activities in the form of imagination. For example, imagining oneself as a light feather floating in the air to relax one's body. The principle of this type of meditation method is to give non-self-consciousness some instructions it is less likely to reject in order to tame and transform it. This type of meditation method, in principle, is a kind of conscious self-hypnosis. During meditation, as much as possible, do not be influenced by non-self-consciousness. Do not be influenced by thoughts and feelings. When you realize your attention has been dragged away by thoughts, you must bring your attention back to the target you should be focusing on. There's no need to feel annoyed, because this annoyance is also non-self-consciousness manipulating you. When painful sensations arise, do not resist them. As spiritual teachers often say, You should allow all bad things to happen, including those that make you feel pain. Do not resist them. Let them be completely natural. This teaching might confuse many people. Why should we let pain arise? Shouldn't we fight against pain?
Because those things that trigger your instinctive resistance, those so-called bad things, are actually tools defined by non-self-consciousness to manipulate you.
Its way of manipulating you is by making you resist them. When you no longer resist, it means non-self-consciousness's manipulation of you has failed, and the tools used to manipulate you are naturally useless. Those things that made you feel pain will naturally dissipate. Therefore, letting go of resistance is the best way to eliminate pain. There is also a special consciousness training method. First, observe an object, then try to restore its sensory image in the brain through thought and imagination. Although this training method may not look like meditation, it is also an effective consciousness training method that can strengthen true self-consciousness and its control over non-self-consciousness. In short, as long as you understand the essence of consciousness, you can easily understand the principles behind various consciousness training methods. Many people in modern times practice meditation to improve their mental state. But the effect of meditation is not just about simply improving mental state and making the body and mind healthier. Meditation originated in ancient India, where spiritual practitioners used meditation to achieve ultimate spiritual liberation. Meditation can transform one's state of consciousness, and the limit this transformation can reach is ultimate spiritual liberation. At this point, true self-consciousness completely breaks free from the control of non-self-consciousness and achieves complete growth. This enormous conscious change will transform them into super beings, completely different from ordinary people. However, although many people practice meditation, very few realize this point because they do not understand the essence of spirituality, and the application of meditation by most people is only at a very preliminary stage, with very limited transformation of consciousness. Due to space limitations, the introduction to consciousness and meditation here is not comprehensive. To learn more about the essence of consciousness and meditation, it is recommended to read the book, The Secret of Consciousness.